4. I'm Brian Houston. That's Ryan Peterson. That's the pod. It's Bryan and Ryan. And man, did we see some golf. It is the year of old people. I love it. A 43-year-old quarterback, even if it's Tom Brady, wins the Super Bowl, and a 50-year-old dude wins the PGA. Life is good for us old farts.
And man, I haven't wanted to see something so bad. I wanted, and it got nerve-wracking towards the end. But yeah, it was really cool to see Phil win. And I don't know how I would compare this to Tiger winning the Masters, was in 2019, but this was completely out of left field. Phil hadn't won anything, hadn't won on the tour since 19, I think, but just really awesome.
First majors win since 2013.
Yeah. So you're looking at 8 years, 50 years old, almost 51 actually, which has never been done for a major. The scene on 18, I will say, it was really cool, but it was also, I was like, where is security? Like, what are they doing? Like, people were just coming onto the course. Because I was wondering what Koepka was thinking, because it took him forever to get to the green because he couldn't get through all the people.
I don't think he was real happy with it. I think
I wouldn't have been either, to be honest.
They
totally lost control.
Yeah, somebody tweaked his knee as he was going, and that had nothing to do with the victory, but he'd already had a bit of a knee injury coming in. But it was a circus. I mean, you could tell these were people unleashed after a year of COVID to have a full gallery of fans at a major, and then to have Phil Mickelson, go in the lead on Saturday.
Thumbs up to everybody.
The place just went nuts. There was no controlling those folks. It was like watching a soccer riot.
You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Happy Gilmore when, he had like all the people out there with beer and had turned it into like a football game. That's what it felt like on 18. Well, people were like rushing the course, and like people were talking like, you could hear people yelling things in the background when they're about to putt.
It was like watching the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, it was. That's a good comparison.
They just, everybody screaming and yelling all through, which I think ought to be allowed in golf anyway. These guys,
that would make it really interesting.
They need to get over this silence crap. They can play in this. I mean, good gosh.
But I had more of a problem with, the people were getting way too close to the players. I mean, when Koepka hit his final shot onto the green, he hadn't even finished his swing, and people were already storming almost on his back. Like, I thought they did a really bad job protecting the players, because, if all those people, there could have been a crazy out there. And like you said, it was like they were all unleashed. It's like, we've been locked up for a year, and now we're going to get to see history, and we're going to do whatever we want. But having said all that, I don't want to, overshadow what Phil accomplished. Amazing for what he did. And his drive, he had like the longest drive, almost 51 years old, and he outdrove every guy in the tournament, even DeChambeau. Just crazy.
What was even crazier, I got a chance. I happened to have it on, and I was watching on that par 3 fifth hole when he hit it in the sand, and you think, oh man, he's in trouble. And he hits the sand shot of a lifetime in for a birdie, knocks it down. And of course, Vern Lundquist is calling it.
Oh, it was awesome.
What are the chances?
It was awesome.
But I went crazy, because I said, are you freaking kidding me? And I'm going to tell you what, he looked like an Adonis. 50 years old, and he looked better than he's ever looked in his career. There was no gut, no puffy face. This guy, he looked like he was in the best shape of his life.
And that's what's crazy, because in his prime, Phil was never a guy that was in peak condition.
No.
Like you said, he kind of looked flabby sometimes with his shirt, he looked better physically now than he ever has, and it's obviously paid off. But the funny thing about his round, the front nine especially, he hits that shot, an unbelievable birdie out of the sand, and then he follows up with the bogey.
Yeah.
Like, there were so many ups and downs. He'd get a 4-stroke lead, and then he'd bogey, and you'd get a little bit nervous. But no one really put any real pressure on him. Koepka kind of went down the tank. Louis Oosthuizen had a little glimmer, but no one ever really got right there. But it was crazy because he had ups and downs the whole day.
Hey, and here's the thing: 99 of the top 100 golfers on the tour competed in that thing, so he was going up against everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, and in the final round, he's going against Oosthuizen and Koepka, and there's no way you could have predicted that they would have struggled, especially Koepka, the way he did. I mean, the guy was 3 over on the par fives.
Yeah.
He had a rough, it looked like Phil was in his head. And normally you think about Koepka, and he's always the guy that looks like an assassin, that looks like he's going to get in everybody else's head.
And it was a little weird because this is 2 years in a row. You know, Koepka won back-to-back PGAs. This is 2 years in a row. He's been right there on the last day, and he's kind of, fallen off and choked on Sunday. And I really thought that it was going to be hard for Phil to maintain it through Sunday and to hold off Koepka. I just kept thinking, man, it's going to be hard. But he always came up with the shot that he needed. And even if he'd give something back, he'd answer every single time. And it was just impressive.
I heard an interview done. They were talking about the thing that Phil struggles with the most now at his age is staying locked in mentally for the entire 4 rounds. So he's gone into meditation and breathing techniques and exercises to try to bring himself back into the moment so that he doesn't get distracted and his mind starts to wander. And all that work. And obviously he put in the work on his diet and getting in shape. I mean, I'm telling you, he looked terrific. And this is a guy that was number 115 in the world and had to have a special exemption to even play in the tournament. And I remember, Ryan, I was a young sportscaster in the lovely town of Lufkin, Texas, back in 1984, when Jack Nicklaus at 46 pulled this off, won a major. And it was the same. It was almost the only thing close to it was what Tom Watson did at the British Open a couple of years ago, where he was into the final round and then he wilted because he was almost 60.
And Watson, and I remember that because Watson had the putt to win and he missed it.
Yeah.
And I remember at that time people were calling it embarrassing. They were saying it was more embarrassing for the field that a 60-year-old Watson. But this to me, like you said, Phil did not look like a 50-year-old. He looked like he was in the best shape of his life. He was out hitting. I mean, and it's funny because after DeChambeau had won, again, we had talked about it. Everyone was so scared. He's changed the game. No, you still have to be able to hit these other shots. And, but guys if guys in the 50s can hit a 300 and how long was that last drive? It was insane.
All I know is it's an 8,000 yard golf course.
And he just beat them all.
And it's the longest golf course on the tour. It's also probably the most difficult. And you would think that the Bombers were going to have the advantage, but how many times did you watch them bomb it and not be able to hit the fairway? They'd end up in the weeds or, in the crowd. So, all that power didn't do them any good when it was ultimately, time to play real championship golf. It kind of restored your faith in the fact that you still have to have a short game. You still have to do the little things, but it was fabulous. I sat there and watched all day yesterday. And we're recording on Monday. And I was, to watch a guy that's one of the greatest of all time, and you're thinking, okay, he's on the downhill slide and he'll never win again. And you just accept that that's what happens to your heroes over a long period of time. They get old and they just lose it. And to see him come back and win this thing and hold people off. And the funniest thing I saw was on Twitter, Peter Burns from the SEC network said, so why do I know, why do you not expect that if Phil's leading with 4 holes to play, that he's going to drive it into the grandstand on the 18th, which is so Phil, but he didn't do that. He didn't do something dumb there at the end. It was incredible. So it's great stuff.
It'll be interesting to see if he's got anything like this left. Obviously this is amazing and we'll never forget this. Do you think this changes anything in terms of his legacy? I mean, he was already a Hall of Famer. Do you think this moves him up in any bracket maybe?
I did hear somebody make the point on the broadcast, and I do agree with this. Tiger's out. Phil had the moment to himself. And so, yeah, I absolutely, to do something that not even Tiger was able to do. I mean, to be the oldest guy in the history of golf to win a major, I mean, you have to not add that in with everything else he's accomplished during the era of Tiger. Yeah, I think you have to look at him as one of the greatest of all time. And this just solidified it. To be able to pull that off at that age is just unbelievable.
And now, he had taken a lot of pride. Phil's lacking the career Grand Slam because he's finished second 6 times, I think, at the U.S. Open. Yeah. And he did not want a special exemption. Well, now he gets 5 more years because he won this. So I think it would be really cool if he could possibly do that. But I think that's asking a lot. But I'm going to enjoy that Sunday because that was one I won't forget. It was cool watching him.
That's the great thing about sports is every once in a while you get given a gift like this that comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And this came out of nowhere. I mean, he was showing nothing coming into this tournament that would lead you to believe that he's going to lead one round, let alone win it. And he did it. And at one point, when he's up by 5 shots, I thought he was going to do it. It was going to be a Tiger Slam where he really laps the field, and these guys are falling apart. And it was just incredible to watch, and it's unforgettable, and it was great theater, and that's why I love sports. I also, for the first time this year, sat down and watched a full NBA game from start to finish, and that was the Saturday afternoon game where the Dallas Mavericks, man, look out, because the Clippers were not in their head. The moment was not too big. A lot of guys other than Luka showed up, and it's clear that the Clippers have more talent, but Dallas's guys, even on a day when Porzingis didn't get it done, he had a bad day. Kristaps did not play well, but they had other people, Brunson and folks like that, Finney Smith, that were playing great basketball, and they stole that first win on the road, and now Dallas may be in the Clippers' heads.
Yeah, it was interesting, and I think the Clippers are going to have to make an adjustment because they can't guard Luka. Now they have Kawhi, but they don't like Kawhi having to defend Luka because it takes away from his offense and the energy. But they're not really going to have a choice. Mm-hmm. I think we saw, 3 of the top 4 seeds all lost game 1s at home in the Western Conference. The only higher seed that won was the Suns beating the Lakers. My thing in all the years I've watched NBA playoffs, I don't ever care about game 1 because I've seen too many times a team wins game 1 and then they lose 4 straight. I think if the Mavericks win game 2, I think it's over, but I don't think the series is over. But I do think it's funny. I was laughing hard because the Clippers tanked because they wanted to play the Mavericks. Careful what you wish for. I hope the Mavericks roll them because I think it's what they deserve. But I'm not going to sign off. I'm not going to write off the Clippers yet, but the Mavericks have to get more from Porzingis. I think if they're going to win this series, they can win a game without him, but he's got to do more because they're going to start doing more to defend Luka, and someone else is going to have a big game, but definitely a great start. And if you're the Mavericks, you said it, they're not scared of them. And the funny thing is, I think the Clippers think they're better than they are. But after what they did last year, I don't think anybody's scared of the Clippers. And the Mavericks, they have that chip on their shoulder. The Mavericks went through this last year. They got their taste of the playoffs, and this is the year they can take that step.
I think the thing that impressed me so much, Ryan, about the game, though, and I understand what you're saying about game 1s, and you can't get caught up in it and let that influence what you think is going to happen. But the bottom line is they played well, but they still had, that game was still very much losable. And I do believe that had they lost that game as hard and as well as they had played, If that game had gotten away from them, I could have seen them going out in 4 or 5 games. I think now, because they won that game, it gave them a shot of confidence. And what you said earlier about Porzingis, not showing up, not having a great game, and that's basically what happened on Saturday. The adjustments started being made, and they started trying to do everything they can to take Luka out of the ball game, and he started dishing it off. And although Kristaps wasn't the guy that was getting the ball, I mean, Finney Smith was hitting huge threes. I mean, Brunson is this dude's a man. They got to find a way to keep him. You had Hardaway hitting threes. So, I mean, I don't necessarily think it was really encouraging to see that Kristaps did not play well, and the other guys stepped up, and they're players. These are good players. They're not just G League guys, that they've got out there. They may be growing into a team.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a long series. I think it's going to go 6 or 7 games. And one other thing to keep an eye on, I do think the Mavericks are going to have more of a home court advantage, because in California, they're really, look, it's not really a home court advantage. I don't even know how many they're allowing, if at all, still in California.
I saw it was something like 6,500 that they were allowing at the game, and the Mavericks, they're going anywhere from 13 to 15.
Right. And so that's a huge difference.
Yep.
So the Mavericks are going to have a home court advantage. So if they could somehow go back to Dallas up 2, we may be talking about the Mavericks trying to sweep them. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but I still think it's going to be a long series. But yeah, definitely encouraging. And the funny thing in all this, Brian, how young Luka still is. I mean,
22.
What is he, 21?
22.
Okay. So, look,
it's insane.
He's still a baby. So every win and every playoff series he gets right now is only going to be better for him when he's not in his prime yet. If he is,
that's scary.
That's scary. So you think about that. So, but I also, staying with the NBA, I thought it was interesting. The Lakers lost. We had talked about Phoenix has no playoff experience outside of Chris Paul, really. And they beat the Lakers down. I mean, they led them the whole game.
Hey, I'm going to tell you what, the 2 big superstars on the Lakers are not right.
And Anthony Davis was terrible. And Ayton dominated the young big for Phoenix. He dominated him. LeBron, you're right. And LeBron has been hurt the last several weeks. And that's the thing with the Lakers now. LeBron, the mileage he has, he hasn't been healthy. Anthony Davis cannot play like that. They're not going to win.
I don't think he's fully recovered. I think he's not healthy either, though. That's the thing. And so I could absolutely see Phoenix knocking them out of the playoffs in the first round, which would really open things up to get real interesting for a lot of teams.
It would be awesome if the Lakers and Clippers both got knocked out in the first round.
I could get on board with that.
I don't know that the NBA would be thrilled with that, but
I don't really
else
care. It doesn't matter to me. Anytime you can see LeBron not go 9 rounds deep, I'm good with that. I'm tired of LeBron. All right, baseball. Rangers, no hit last week by Corey Kleber. I mean, how brutal is it that you get no hit? Not only do you get no hit, but it's the second time, and then it's on a night when they're trying to clean out the closet and they're giving away the Corey Kleber bobbleheads. And then they get no hit, but then they turn around and sweep the Astros over the weekend.
Yeah, that was crazy.
3 straight games of over 30,000 fans at Globe Life Field, and that place sounded like an airplane hangar.
Yeah, and I still haven't been to that stadium. Obviously because of COVID, I would like to go see it. Bringing up the no-hitters, though, I do think it's interesting because Texas, Seattle, and Cleveland, those 3 teams have all been no-hit twice since April 9th. So there have been 6 no-hitters in about 6-7 weeks.
And they cheated Max Scherzer out of his because it was only a 7-inning no-hitter. That's crap. It should be 7 no-hitters.
Okay, yeah. So it's 7 no-hitters in a 6-7 week period. Strikeouts are way up. 1 in 4 guys are striking out.
The batting average for the year of the pitcher in '68, the year that they decided to lower the mound, because it was too high and it was giving Bob Gibson and all these, Tom Seaver and all these aces too much of an advantage. The batting average was higher that year when everybody had like an earned run average under 2 than the batting average, total major league batting average is this year. That's how bad these hitters are.
Well, but what I was going to bring up, so now you're starting to see some of the all-time greats coming out. I mean, Don Mattingly, who's still in the game, because he's a manager, he says it's unwatchable. Nolan Ryan says he's been completely turned off from the game. And Reggie Jackson made an interesting point because Reggie had, he was saying, look, I was a power hitter. I struck out about 125 times a season, but now you have leadoff guys who are supposed to be the guys to get on, high batting average. They're striking out as many times as Reggie Jackson did as a power hitter. And Reggie was agreeing with Don Mattingly, saying it's unwatchable and it's embarrassing. I mean, I don't even like watching baseball right now because I'll fall asleep. Do you feel that way? And is there any way to fix this? Because, analytics, it's crazy now, Brian. You'll see shifts. An entire defense is on the right side of the diamond I'm like, this is stuff I never saw as a kid. Everyone's hitting for power. No one just wants to get on base. It's unwatchable for me.
Everybody's worried about launch angle now instead of just making contact. And I was hearing somebody again over the weekend talking about Wade Boggs, who was a contact hitter.
Great hitter, yeah.
Just a guy that always made contact. And if you'd have thrown a shift up, I guarantee you every one of those baseballs would have been hit into left field.
Yeah.
But no hitter makes an adjustment. No drop a bunt down. But bunts are out of the game. Stolen bases are out of the game. You never see the ball put in play. I mean, it's just everybody standing around and it's a strikeout or it's a home run. And no, it's unwatchable. And no, I don't enjoy it. And if you want to put in a comparison, watch a college game, watch a high school game where it's still baseball.
Right.
That's
the thing. I will watch a college baseball game. I love that when they get to the regional play in the tournament, and I love a good high school baseball game. Major League Baseball, I can't do it.
Well, and the funny thing about it, Ryan, I've always been a fan of pitchers. I've always liked low scoring ball games. I've always liked lots of strikeouts. But the problem was, Nolan Ryan earned his strikeouts. These guys wave it around like, they're trying to put out a fire. I mean,
Nolan Ryan had kind of made a point of saying back when he was pitching, he said, even if he got a hitter down, that guy was going to do everything he could to at least not strike out because there was a pride thing there.
Absolutely.
And he doesn't see that anymore. Like guys will just give up the at bat.
That's the thing. The analytics has destroyed it. And you ask, what do you do to fix it? And one of the things I've heard said was the easy thing would be to outlaw the shift. Mm-hmm. Well, okay, but ultimately, I think if you're going to sit there and say that the hitter doesn't have to make an adjustment, then I don't know that it's changing anything. And so I don't know what the answer is. All I know is that Major League Baseball is losing fans. I say that, but then you get 30,000 at Globe Life over the weekend, but the beer's cold, so, I mean, I don't know what the answer is. I don't like the game. I don't like what I'm seeing happening to the game. I don't like the hitters. Here's the other problem, Ryan, analytics and the games just continue to get longer and longer. I mean, it's 4 hours every time. And listen, I'm not one of these guys, you people complain about the length of college football games. At least there's action.
Yeah.
I'm not going to complain because, man, I'm getting my money's worth out of a college football game. If it's long, so what? But this stuff of games just dragging on because people are walking around scratching their rear ends and taking forever between pitches and yet still getting terrible at bats and stuff like that. It's just, I agree. It's unwatchable. And
I also heard Rich Eisen, and I don't know if this is true, but there have been people are saying that pitchers are putting stuff on the ball. And he was saying that, the umpires, they need to be checking everything, checking these pitchers for anything, any substance that they're possibly, if you feel anything on these balls that, you know, you need to take care of it. But outside of the shifting, that's the thing. We can all sit here and complain, but if we don't have a solution, it doesn't matter. But right now, it is not fun. It's not what I grew up watching when I used to love. Because, again, I'll enjoy going to a good high school game or going watching TJC here in Tyler. Yeah. I can sit there and watch that. But a Major League Baseball game and the amount of money you pay if you're going to go and to, like, be bored, I'm not going to pay $85 a ticket to go be bored. So well, that's one thing.
I totally agree with you. And the thing about it is, like I said, the ratings are down. The young fan is not getting into the game.
Yeah, the young fans are going to other sports
because it's slow. There's no action. What's amazing to me is that they are into soccer, where you can you'll see all you're watching is guys running 9 miles and scoring 2 goals a game, but they love soccer. But baseball has gotten, it's just so much standing around and so much nothing happening. And then, like you said, I think one of the things the only thing that's going to change this is just the overall attitude that baseball organizations are going to have to say, we want traditional leadoff hitters. We want guys that make contact and get on base, and they set things up for the number 3 hitter to drive in runs. We got to go back to that kind of baseball. If you're not going to play that kind of baseball, if you're okay with a guy batting 200 going up and being your leadoff hitter,
that's just nuts.
Then the game's going to die. It's just going to die, because if you never want to play small ball and you know, and all you want to see is it getting launched. I mean, it's Dave Kingman. It's watching a whole league of Dave Kingmans hitting 230 and, you know, crushing 40 home runs. But so what? You know, I mean, I don't care for it. I mean, it makes Gold Gloves a thing of the past. What's great defense? Like, you never see a ball get put in play.
Yeah. You're standing there watching for half the game. You're not even moving.
I mean, I guess it boils down to this: is if your local team, whoever your local favorite team is, if they're winning, then you watch. But I do know this: the years that the Rangers have been out of it in May, I don't even care. I just don't even turn it on. I don't even watch the All-Star game anymore. I barely watch the World Series because those games are interminable. They go on forever, and I can't sit up till after midnight every night watching a World Series game.
It's nothing more than a regional sport with, you know, and like you said, if your team, you know, like in St. Louis, if the Cardinals are there, look, those fans, they've always been diehard, they're going to go. But outside of that area, no one's going to care. No one's going to care about the playoffs. No one's going to care about a World Series matchup, because unless you're in those two markets playing, you're going to be bored out of your mind. So that's the state of baseball.
It is the state of baseball. One last thing, and we're gone. The media gets the first chance to see the Cowboys in OTAs on Tuesday. And, you know, that it'll be interesting to see how much or how little Dak Prescott takes part in things. I would imagine they're going to be very, very careful with him. The one area of the team I'm really, really interested in seeing some things about is going to be a linebacker, because they've gone from now 2 really shaky linebackers to suddenly they got a room of about 8 linebackers, and they're going to have to figure out of that bunch who's going to stay on this team. It's a good problem to have, because I think they've got some good ones between Micah Parsons and Jabril Cox. And then if Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch, you know, recover from whatever nightmare that was last year that Nolan put them in, and Dan Quinn figures a way to fix them, it's going to be really fun to watch some real life competition at that position, as opposed to you got 2 guys here, both of them have health issues, and there's nothing behind them.
Yeah.
And the other side is all the cornerbacks they're bringing in, because God knows they've been horrible at corner forever. So I'm really interested in that. OTAs, I realize, you know, you can only gain so much from them, but it will be fun, because that starts the competition. We start to figure out how Dan Quinn's going to do things, how he plans on using these guys. Is Parsons going to be a a true middle linebacker, or are they going to put him out on the edge and make him play like DeMarcus Ware used to, hand in the dirt and rush the passer, which he could probably do both.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know what the rest of the league's looking like. I did see that Aaron Rodgers is not going to show up for OTAs. He didn't show up today.
And the interesting thing I had read earlier today is that, and I think I read this right, that, you know, because Rodgers still hasn't really said anything publicly, but apparently he's supposed to be on. We're recording on Monday. He's supposed to be on Kenny Mayne's Last Sports Center.
Oh my!
He's going to do an interview with Kenny Mayne, so he may save, you know, give that to Kenny Mayne for his last broadcast. He's going to have some real cheese for everyone to take for that interview, and it'll be interesting to see what he says. But he's not going to OTAs, and he had posted a video. He was like on vacation or with a Hollywood actor and his fiance, so he's not worried about the Packers.
Well, the word is, he said, I've been here for 16 years. I'm ready for a change of scenery. I'm out, you know. And we also see that Deshaun Watson is, what we have seen is that he is sticking to his guns. He wants out of Houston, which under the circumstances is probably pretty smart, because everybody in Houston seems to want him right now, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think it'd probably be best for all parties. The Texans can get a king's ransom still. They could still get a haul for him. And
you think?
Yeah, well, everything I'm seeing from several insiders, they're saying that they're still going to be able to get quite a bit back for him.
God, man,
because
so
the thought now is that Watson is not going to be suspended for the whole season. And there's a chance that'll be kind of, you remember when Ben Roethlisberger got suspended for 6 games several years ago, and then they reduced it to 4. It could be something like that. And if that's all it's going to be, someone's going to give up a lot to get him if they can.
Well, and keep in mind, he's going to be in the first year of a new contract that's paying him a fortune, but it's it's an extended deal. So whoever gets him is going to get him for a long period of time.
Right.
He's so radioactive right now. I just don't know. You know, I mean, this thing's got to clear out somehow, and I just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and look, that has to clear up before that would happen. But from what I've been hearing and reading, it sounds like there's a good chance something will be cleared up before training camp.
Well, we hope so, and we hope we have another great week like we had this past week. To talk about next week. I don't know, Memorial Day
it'll
week,
be hard to live up to what happened this past week.
I don't see how it could. It just was phenomenal between the NBA and Phil Mickelson. God bless Phil Mickelson. He just made the weekend. So Ryan, thanks very much. If you please, those of you the 5 of you who are maybe still watching, I think we're down to 2 now. But if you would share, I did notice somebody actually subscribed. I got a notification. So, hey, man, small victories. You got to party when you can.
Was it Matt?
It really wasn't. It was somebody I didn't recognize. So
okay.
I'm guessing it's a stalker that's going to try to put Trojan horses on my internet or something, but we'll see. At any rate, be sure to share, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and we will talk to you next week. Bryan and Ryan. I'm Bryan Houston. That's Ryan Peterson. Have a great week.